Hi guys, I'm Corey. As you probably know, this is my husband.
I'm Ty.
I wanted to talk about my C-section. It's almost like a dirty word.
The C word, they call
It's
it.
the
I heard,
C word.
I think.
I don't think that's the same C word. I had a very normal pregnancy. Everything went smoothly, even though I was considered to have advanced maternal age. Basically, like old ladies having babies.
Yeah. Well, once you hit 35, but it was better for me because you got more tests.
Yeah, we got all of the.
I liked the reassurance of all those tests.
We had a thing called the T21, which is where they basically test out for any major abnormalities and very early in the pregnancy, and you also get to find out the sex of the baby, which we did.
Yeah.
And we were wrong.
Complete opposite from what we thought.
Yeah. What was I like during the pregnancy?
Great. You were great. Everything was awesome. Your shirt looks fantastic. You smell nice.
What if I walk out of the room then? What would you say?
I don't know. Will you walk out of the room?
Asked my sister, when do those crazy pregnancy hormones kick in? And she said, whenever it's convenient.
Like when you were 13. Oh, okay. Yeah, whenever it's convenient.
Whenever it's convenient to use this as an excuse.
No, you
like,
weren't.
Shit, smart. I had no labor.
She refused to go into it. Her body barely
We're not doing that. I got to 40 weeks and I had zero progression, zero dilation, zero effacement. The way that my doctor described he said, this is your cervix.
I went to medical school. The technical term is...
One of the reasons the doctor really recommended a C-section is that they were measuring him really, really big.
Yeah, they said 8 to 11 pounds or something like that.
They actually think that the baby... Like, his head might not have fit in my pelvis.
This kid's head is enormous.
His head is huge. Not to mention that the baby was very, very high. So I went in on my due date and the doctor said, okay, I didn't want to talk about this until we absolutely needed to talk about it. And I could induce you. But because there's zero progression, my guess is that it would still end in a C-section. And I said, well, what are the chances of that? He said at least 85 to 90% you would end up with a C-section. And at that point, it's not just a C-section, it could become an emergency C-section, which is dangerous for everyone. My plan was to do it as naturally as possible, and obviously that was not gonna happen. In the 5 days I had between my due date and the C-section, I did everything under the sun to try to go into labor. I drank teas, took supplements, bounced on a ball, walked and walked and walked and walked.
All day, every day, this.
Sex is another thing they say that is supposed to happen to go into labor, which is extremely awkward at that phase. Is it weird that I feel weird talking about sex, even though like we're talking about having a baby? So clearly, during that week that I knew I was having a C-section, I was kind of torn up about it. I felt like I was being robbed of this experience. We'd taken birth classes, we had all this preparation, we knew what to expect. I felt like in some way I was failing because I wasn't able to make my body do what it was supposed to do naturally. If I could go back and talk to that girl, I would be like, don't sweat it. Because as soon as I was holding the baby, it honestly didn't matter how he got out.
Right.
So right about the time I was supposed to get my IV, the doctor came in and said they had someone come in who needed an emergency C-section. The nurse who was supposed to come in and give me my IV got called away to the emergency C-section.
And we were in a teaching hospital, so instead, someone who just got accepted to the program or something, or was applying that day, came in. I have a little animosity toward the nurse because she did a terrible job and she made Corey bleed a lot.
Yeah, she couldn't get it clipped in there right and blood was just going everywhere. My gown ended up being soaked.
Yeah.
And it really hurt. Another nurse popped in and just went and just pushed the other girl aside. She fixed everything. She changed my gown. We had to change my gown twice. We had to change the sheets. I mean, there was a lot of blood. That was a little disconcerting because I felt like that should have been the easiest part of the procedure, and that ended up being the scariest part. We had a little time to kill. Ty crawled in bed and cuddled with me, which immediately made me calm. Do you remember that?
No, I did something manly. I chopped down a tree.
Finally, it was time for my C-section, so they wheeled me into the OR. Ty had to stay behind, and he was all dressed in a suit so that he would look nice when he met our son. But we actually decided to have him take his shirt off underneath his scrubs because since we were having a C-section...
Ripped. Oh, it was what?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I'll be right back. I'm going to do some push-ups.
Dad bod.
With a C-section, you can't hold the baby. The mom can't hold the baby quite as quickly because you're getting sewed up. And so we decided we would have Ty be shirtless underneath so he could put the baby directly on his skin. I got wheeled into surgery, and the thing I was the most nervous about until the IV disaster was the epidural. I like to do a lot of research on things, and of course I just read horror stories. So they clean your back and it's really cold as they're cleaning it. And then they gave me a shot, a local anesthetic, before they actually put the giant needle in. The resident, who was the resident anesthesiologist, actually said, like, I'm gonna do this blind. I was thinking, like, is there a not blind way to do this? It actually wasn't bad. I felt like I kind of jerked a couple times as I felt it going down. It felt weird, but it wasn't awful. So once that was in, I felt a lot of relief, but I immediately started to feel nauseous. And so I, of course, wanted to be cool about it and not say anything. I thought, that's dumb, I'm gonna throw up all over everyone. So I mentioned I was nauseous. They said, we'll take care of that right away. And I don't know what kind of cocktail was going on in there, but within 2 seconds, I felt fine and really sleepy. They laid me down on this table. They put a screen up so that you don't see what's going on, even though I kind of wish I had seen what was going on. I don't know. I kind of wanted to watch it.
Oh, no.
Maybe I'm just weird.
I don't know. I had to sit by your head, so I would have had to see it too, and I vote no.
The anesthesiologist had actually told me, during the surgery, you're not going to feel anything, but at one point it's going to feel like an elephant is sitting on you. Do not be alarmed. What was going through your head at that point when the surgery was starting?
I was just trying to like keep your attention and read your face. I wanted to see if you were okay, but I can do that better if you're like interacting with me.
Yeah.
Because then I can tell like if you're hesitant or...
And instead I was like...
Yeah.
Also, I have a mug right here. I feel like we're on a talk show.
Yeah. It's full of wine.
Don't you? It is not. As the surgery was happening, they weren't really telling us what's going on, but all of a sudden I felt the elephant. And like, not just, it wasn't like one elephant, it was like a herd of elephants. And I just remember so much pressure.
I mean, you're laying down, but it was like coming towards, and your face got really red, and I could tell you were just really uncomfortable. It didn't seem like it was just like pain.
And you said that was the scariest part for you.
Yeah, because it happened really fast.
Finally, they told you to stand up.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember seeing anything of Corey. I couldn't even possibly recreate the image of like the actual incision, but I remember Radley coming into the world. I remember that part. Like a little blue and white, smurfy, gross mess of a beautiful baby.
And they immediately brought him over to Ty with like this little hat on, and Ty opened up his scrubs and just put him right on his chest, and he'd been crying. And as soon as Ty was holding him and started talking to him, it was like magic. He just calmed down immediately. Mm-hmm. Oh, it makes me want to cry, like even talking about it.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm totally gonna cry. I'm not even like pregnant or PMSing or anything. But it was so sweet, and I like held his little hand. Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
I agree.
That's like one of my favorite moments ever.
Agreed.
That was so cool. Anyway, highly recommend that skin on skin thing, because I think that like what a special moment for a dad, because as a mom, you've been carrying this child, feeling it kick. You've been literally holding this child in your body, and like for Ty to have that first moment of the baby in his arms, like what a magical thing happened. I remember thinking, is he supposed to be that furry?
Oh yeah, he was hairball.
I forget what the medical technical name for it is, but no, that's Star Wars terminology. Oh, that is probably what the doctor said. Wookiee. That's probably what the doctor said. Wookiee.
Your baby's
And they took him to get cleaned up, and they had to sew me up. And
can I?
Yes, please.
Well, I can do a better Wookiee impression than what I just did about Radley sleeping.
Oh, okay. Do you want to?
I just wanted to qualify that.
Thank you for letting us know.
Corey can't.
Mine was awful.
Wookiee impression than you just heard.
Yeah, but I don't claim to do a good
I know. It's okay.
After Ty left the room and they took the baby, they sewed me up pretty fast, and they took me into recovery. I was hooked up to all kinds of contraptions, and they actually put these compression boots on my legs. It felt awesome. They were like massaging my legs, and that's basically because you can't get up and walk right away, and they don't want blood clots to form. They brought the baby in, and immediately he started rooting around hungry. And I said to Ty, should we wait for a nurse? And Ty said, I'm pretty sure if you just put him right there, he'll go for it. And he did. I actually had my placenta encapsulated, and I'm going to do a whole other post about that, because I think it's a topic. He just threw up in his mouth a little bit. I'll talk about why I decided to do it, what it was like, the whole process, my thoughts on it. I will talk about all of that in a separate post. I actually recovered quickly enough. My scar was healing. I was going to the bathroom. That's one thing you have to do before you can leave the hospital. You have to poop. The hardest part about a C-section recovery, in my opinion, is that because your abdomen and your uterus have been cut open, you lose the use of your core. And it takes a little bit of time to get that back. And so for me, the hardest part was not being able to just sit up. It takes a little bit longer before you can get back into exercise and all of those things because you have had a major surgery. There's a higher risk of blood clot and infection and some things like that. I have nothing to compare it to. I feel like I bounced back pretty quickly. Ultimately, it didn't matter how he came into the world. He was healthy and perfect and ours, and they let us take him home.
Mm-hmm.
What were they thinking?
We had a pretty smooth, but also what seemed like doable, you know, like something that you could be repeating in your situation. It seemed like something that was naturally possible, but also really smooth.
I completely agree.
We love to hear about what like is going on with you because it's cool to see what other kids are doing and relating that to maybe what we should be doing with our kiddo.
Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Does that sound weird? I hate that term. Come
Love
like
us
us.
on Facebook.
No, just come
Follow us.
Yeah, it sounds so creepy. It's like creepy and also
Stalk us on YouTube.
Egomaniacal.
Facebook. My name is Mom back up. Egomaniacal.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, just stalk us.
Okay, that's it. That's all we have to say.
Should have been over a while ago.
Yeah, sorry.